7 seconds. That's how long a song gets today. 7 seconds for an algorithm to decide whether or not it's going to be promoted. 7 seconds before it gets skipped, 7 seconds to hook you, or it disappears. I take my daughters to Lollapalooza every year, and last year I was looking at the schedule. I saw artists that they know, and I said, let's go check this guy out. And they told me, well, I don't know who that is. I was like, yes, you do. I dragged them to the show. Song started playing that I knew they knew. I looked at them. They shook their head at me. And then the hook hit. All of a sudden, they're singing, they're dancing. Oh, yeah, I love this song. I listen to it all the time. I was like, I know you do. I hear you doing TikToks and playing it in the house all the time, but you just told me that I don't know it, that you don't know it. And they said, well, I don't. I only know this part. Everybody loves this part. Looking around at thousands of kids singing only the 7-second hooks, I started wondering what was actually going on. Somebody had to be force-feeding this to these kids. They don't have a limitation on discovery of music the way that I did. I could listen to songs. I could go to the record store and put on headphones. Maybe I got some from my older brother or sister, or I could watch MTV. That was it. Today, kids have endless machines, endless algorithms, platforms to discover millions and millions and millions of songs. So why do they all have the exact same taste and the exact same favorite songs? So that's when I started thinking, and a thought lodged in my head that I couldn't let go, which was, are we putting machines to work for us, or are we quietly reorganizing our lives so that we're easier for them to manage? Because once you ask that question, you start seeing it everywhere. Algorithms quietly nudging us in a specific direction based on the machine's interests, not ours. When I was in high school, I learned something early about systems. We're told that you have choice, that you could move through life the way that you want to, that you could be whatever you want. But the system actually needs something else. It needs you to be legible, predictable. As long as you move through it the way it's designed, it's smooth, it's easy, it works. But if you start asking questions, if you move at a different pace, if you look at it from the outside in and fundamentally question the structure of that system, the algorithm, the system doesn't adjust, it breaks. And when a system breaks, it doesn't blame itself. It blames the person. That's how I got kicked out of high school, short story. Not for failing, but for not being easy to process. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that was my first lesson in what happens when efficiency matters more than humanity. So years later, I saw this play out on a much bigger scale. Napster launched. I was in the music industry. It was a beautiful life. We went to music stores. People bought albums. The first early adapters started just downloading from iTunes the first digital songs. But then with Napster, overnight, music became free. The industry collapsed. We had no vote. There was no conversation. Careers vanished. The system changed. Humans quickly adapted. But what confused me was music didn't stop and artists didn't stop creating. People didn't stop needing music. So I started paying attention to what did change. Artists began creating differently. They stopped creating for themselves. They stopped creating for their fans. They started creating for platforms. And I grew up listening to albums from start to finish. And track 9, that was the risky one. That was always my favorite. That was the artist confession, where I would fall in love with artists. It made you feel like you really knew them. You created these amazing intellectual bonds with these artists. But today, the algorithm never makes it to track 9 because it doesn't fit the mold. So track 9 disappeared, then track 7, then track 5, until all that was left was the hook. 7 seconds. Artists stopped asking, what do I want to say? What can I create that's going to make me more fulfilled? And they started asking, what will the system reward? Are machines helping us reach people? or quietly training us to create what's easiest to classify. Because efficiency doesn't care about meaning, it cares about predictability. And that pattern didn't stay in music. Television commercials used to be these amazing stories that brands would invest in telling to really connect with people, to reach people. But today, they only care about visibility. The goal isn't connection anymore. The creative brief isn't what can I create that's going to connect. It's what can I create that the system's going to reward so I get maximum visibility. And when visibility becomes the goal, depth becomes optional. So I use a virtual assistant to restock my house when I'm traveling. One day I looked around and I realized everything all of a sudden was the same brand. The trash bags weren't Hefty, the paper towels weren't Bounty, the dish soap wasn't Dove. It was all Amazon Basics. Not because I chose it, but because the system did. Fastest delivery, best price, highest efficiency. So standing there surrounded by things that I never really chose, that question came back louder. Are we putting machines to work for us or quietly reorganizing our lives so we're easier for them to manage? Think about how many decisions that you didn't make today. What songs you listened to, what you watched on your phone, the route you took to get somewhere, the message that you sent a friend. None of them were forced. They were just the easiest path offered to you. And that's the power of modern algorithms. They don't take away choice. They make one path so frictionless that everything else quietly disappears. So my 4-year-old son, he has a kids-friendly YouTube account that he's allowed to watch for a couple minutes before dinner. And when we initially started watching YouTube together, it was a really frustrating experience. He didn't want to watch any of the recommended creators that YouTube continuously served us up. And so I'd have to use the remote to type in what he wanted to watch, monster trucks, random animal videos. But searching for what he wanted, AKA free will, it took time. It's extremely inconvenient. So in just a few weeks, I watched him turn on YouTube and start consuming the recommended creators, the ones that he had and still has no interest in. But it's simple, convenient, and doesn't take time out of his screen time. He gave into the algorithm, he adjusted his taste to watch what the machine wanted him to watch. But why would the machine want that? Well, Vlad and Nikki, the YouTube creators the algorithm insists that we watch, make over $200 million a year in YouTube ad revenue. And guess who else makes money? YouTube takes 45% of that revenue. So by turning my son into nothing more than a data point, the machine is putting a 4-year-old to work so that it can make more profit than it does than by making free will convenient. And it's not just about adjusting our behavior and our taste. This gets a lot more personal than that. A friend texted me about his mother's Alzheimer's getting worse, knowing that my grandmother and my father-in-law had gone through it, and he was looking for guidance. I was busy. I wanted to respond, so I took the easiest route and I hit the auto response that my phone suggested. Sorry to hear that. A couple of weeks later, one of my best friends texted me that his mother had just passed away. Now, we knew she was sick. We didn't know how far along she was, and he reached out to me really wanting a virtual hug at the least. I was in a business meeting. I couldn't respond. Again, I took the easy route. I hit the suggested auto response. So sorry for your loss. My condolences. I flipped the phone over, went back to my meeting. That meeting went very late. By the morning, I forgot. I completely forgot about my friend's despair and about him reaching out to me for support. Not because I didn't care, but because I let the machine care for me. And that's what scared me. Because if machines start choosing our words in moments that matter, who's actually showing up in our relationships? Now, AI is incredible. It's powerful. It truly is the great equalizer that the world has always been searching for. Soon, it won't matter if you went to Harvard or you didn't go to college. If you grew up in Manhattan or the middle of nowhere, you will have the same tools, the same knowledge, the exact same answers instantly. And here's the thought that I can't shake. Maybe that's the problem. It's the same answers. It's the same songs. It's the same shows. It's the same driving routes. It's the same Google search result whose AI only prioritizes the most popular opinions, by the way. So what if we thought was free will is slowly becoming the most efficient path through a system? And what if choice and optimization isn't intention? Because algorithms don't need to control us. They just need to make their path the easiest one to follow. 7 seconds is all we give music now. How much time are we giving to friends and family? And I bet you we spend less than 7 seconds responding to people that we love. So tonight, when you listen to your new favorite song, you buy something from social media that you absolutely have to have, or you decide how you're going to respond to somebody that you love, ask yourself, did I choose this, or did the algorithm choose it for me? Is the route Maps and Waze gave me to follow really the most efficient? Or is it the route advertisers pay for so that more people drive by their stores and restaurants? Am I putting machines to work for me, or quietly reorganizing my life so that I'm easier for them to manage? Because the future won't be decided about how smart our machines become. It'll be decided by whether or not we notice when we're trading our free will for convenience. Thank you. Thank you.